And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Bandit Racing League's Race for the Championship, Round 1, or 17 of the entire Bandit Racing League Season 10. Welcome back to another Wednesday night broadcast here on Full Send Racing Network of the Geezer Authentics Xfinity Series, the 10th round of the Bandit Racing League. We are back, as always. You know that's what Wednesday nights are for. It's for Bandit Racing League action, and tonight is the first round of the Season 10 Race for the Championship here presented on Full Send Racing Network. And we start tonight at the Lady in Black, the track too tough to tame, Darlington, for what is sure to be one of the highlight races on our calendar this season, a track that has historically created nothing but great racing. And tonight, I am sure we can expect nothing less than the same. But tonight is also a very important night here for the Bandit Racing League, not just in the span of the championship and the season as a whole. Tonight is Military Appreciation Night, and that's why we really want to take tonight as an opportunity to thank all of those who fight for not just America, but for Canada up here south of the border, and just anybody who helps protect what is essentially one big home, one big community between Canada and the United States. Those who are brave enough to serve their country and to protect our freedoms, and what is truly one of the most noble things any person can do is to put themselves in the way of those dangers that may affect our country. So we want to thank everybody who serves currently or has served in the past. And tonight is Military Appreciation Night. And to help us with that, and to help us celebrate our troops and those who have served past or present, we do want to thank vetmotorsports.org. They are going to be such a huge focus of tonight's broadcast. They are an amazing charity, an amazing organization, and such an awesome cause that we will learn more about from somebody who is a little bit more near and dear to the cause tonight, Mr. Christopher Hamilton, who has partnered with vetmotorsports.org to sponsor tonight's race at Darlington, the Military Appreciation Night 125, presented by vetmotorsports.org. And you can win yourself that awesome looking design you see there on the left and right. That is the all-new Christopher Hamilton vetmotorsports.org t-shirt, and it'll represent not only the driver, the number 15, but a very awesome organization as a result. And for you to win that, well, you'll find out more details as we go on, but we want to give one out to one of you lucky viewers, because you guys are here, and your guys' support is what makes this, not only this series, but also this broadcast and everything we do here week to week possible. And tonight, as well as thanking our troops, we also want to thank all of you for watching and for supporting the series as always. Well, with that being said, we can now get into the meat of our pre-show presentation here tonight. And for starters, hi everybody. I am, as always, your host, essentially everything here on Full Send Racing Network, your founder of the channel, your weekly broadcast host, week to week, your play-by-play commentary, whatever you'd like to refer to me as, and somebody who's really excited to honor our troops tonight in Military Appreciation Night and go through a whole bunch of really fun stuff here, and to open up the Bandit Racing League Season 10 playoffs that now start after last week's race at Chicagoland to cap off the regular season. But joining me tonight, as he has a couple of the last couple weeks and has made this broadcast even better than I could have guessed. He's been such a great addition to the broadcast. He's subbed in really, really well lately, and we're so excited to have him back. That is Dawson Guzik will be joining us up in the broadcast booth tonight. And Dawson, you always bring us some great information. You're always such a valuable asset to have, and I know you love the Bandit Racing League just as much as I do, and keep it up with it week to week. So tonight we start the playoffs. You know Darlington, you know it's a tough track, you know it's a driver's track. What are you looking for tonight, and how do you think we're kicking this thing off as we get into the 6-race race for the championship?
Yeah, Marshall, it's good to be here. Tonight, we're going to be looking at a lot of tire strategy. Tires are going to be a big deal. Trying not to slide them tires tonight. And another big thing, we call her the Lady in Black for a reason. She's a tough track. You don't want to get into that wall. You keep getting into that wall, you only have one fast repair. That's going to be really tough. So once you hit the wall, your race is, it's going to be a little bit tougher throughout the race.
Yeah, it really is. The number one priority for these guys has to be survivability here, especially if you're one of the playoff drivers here, who, with the points reset last week in the championship, are all essentially not on an even playing field, but certainly a whole lot closer than they were when last we raced. So this is an opportunity for these guys to just capitalize early, try to get themselves in a good spot, and just, put themselves in a positive situation going forward. 6 races may feel quick. It may feel like a very short period of time to decide a champion out of 11 very deserving drivers, but at the same time, it's really not that much to work with. So you want to capitalize on your opportunities where you can find them. Very quickly, before we get into talking a little bit more about tonight's sponsor and Military Appreciation Night in general, we do want to do sort of a quick summary to talk about a couple guys here in the Bandit Racing League playoffs that we definitely think you should watch out for, and you should keep in mind going forward. And we'll talk about the others that are in the 11 as we go through tonight's race. But first, what is an unusual sort of through the field, we'll do a through the field segment of sorts presented by Perfect Shine Auto Spot for a couple of our playoff drivers. And the first driver we want to shout out here is Jason Greenwell, making it in with 1,000 playoff points on the dot. Jason has really come alive here this season as far as his consistency, but also his top performances. You know, his quality top 5 appearances, races where he really stands out as a threat for race wins. He's had such a huge step up this year in that regard. Was a championship playoff contender last year, but comes back in this season with a fire under him. Had a great regular season. Jason is one of your 11 drivers, hoping for the Bandit Racing League Season 10 title. Well, after him, it's going to be a guy that, well, we've talked about plenty here on the broadcast for a couple seasons now, and as somebody whose name seems to come up more and more. Started out as being one of the best bright young drivers in the Bandit Racing League, and has now evolved into truly a top contender here in the series. That's Mark Allen Bivens, the Blytheville, Arkansas native, has 1 win this season. He started off with a bang. He won the season opener at Daytona, and it just never backed down from there. 4 top 5s this season. Incredible year. Last year's most improved driver winner. You could argue he made just as much of a step up this year. He comes into this year's playoffs with 1,003 championship points. After him is tonight's race sponsor, and a guy we'll definitely have our eye on in tonight's race at Darlington, the Tempe, Arizona native, Mr. Christopher Hamilton for GFR Racing, driver of the number 15. He's got 2 poles this season. We know he has what it takes in terms of flat-out pace to get great results. We'll see if he carries that over into tonight's race, maybe go for 3 and 4 top 5s this season. The 15 car knows how to put it in a good spot. He will start with 1,000 playoff points. Another teammate there at GFR Racing who also starts at the minimum number of championship points, but will no doubt work their way through, is Ricky Hart Jr., driver of the number 1 car, joined GFR Racing this season and has just absolutely exploded. 6 top 5s, 1 pole position. The pace has been there all year, and he's been just short of a win as a result. It could be coming soon. Don't be surprised to see the 1 car in victory lane in the next couple weeks, and no doubt will the number 1 car be going for his 2nd career Bandit Racing League title. Now, Curtis Yancey, driver of the number 51 car, an absolutely incredible season. 8 top 5s, 11 top 10s. The 51 car finds itself at the top of our list each and every week, it would seem. He comes in with, again, that same number of playoff points, as he does not have a win this season, but he's come close many a time. He's been quick all season, and he comes off a podium last week at Chicagoland to give him that momentum heading into the playoffs. And finally, to cap off our little pre-race segment here, who better to highlight than last year's defending regular season and playoff champion, Bret Guzik, driver of the number 04 car, 2 wins on the calendar. That brings him 1,006 playoff points heading into tonight's season opener here in the playoffs, but 10 top 5s, an absurd number. That level of top tier pace is something virtually impossible to replicate in the Bandit Racing League Season 10. All that being said, we'll talk more about your other playoff drivers participating tonight, some of whom are not here in the session as we speak. But, well, it's Nick Nickerson at the top of the board. He won last week, got win number 6 on the year. That and some other bonus points give him 23 points above the 1,000 point reset cutoff for tonight. So he is coming in with a pretty good head of steam and some extra bonus points to make his life just that little bit easier. He's 11 clear of who has really been his championship rival all season. That is Benjamin Lacy, a guy that is no doubt going to be hunting for each and every point he can find this year. And he's going to be going for that title like many others. Guzik Jackson at 6, Daff and Bivens at 3, and the rest of your grid on the right-hand side that you can see. That being said, it is now time to talk a little bit more about your sponsor. And we're going to do so with the driver who just pulled off the racetrack and the driver who is our representative tonight on behalf of vetmotorsports.org. That is Mr. Christopher Hamilton. Let's go and find him and get him up here in the broadcast booth. Hey, Chris, this is Marshall up at the broadcast booth. You got a copy? Hey, Christopher Hamilton, Marshall up in the broadcast booth. Got a copy?
There we go. Gotcha.
There we go.
Got to put it on the weekend mic.
All good. Thank you, Christopher. Well, it is absolutely a pleasure to have you up here. First of all, we want to thank you for sponsoring tonight's broadcast and representing on behalf of Military Appreciation Night here in the Bandit Racing League. We're going to see some really cool paint schemes tonight, but we're also represented by a really cool sponsor. And, well, I'm going to throw it to you to talk more about vetmotorsports.org, tonight's representative here at Darlington.
Thank you, Marshall. vetmotorsports.org has been a very, very fun organization that I've had the pleasure of volunteering for the past 2 years. Vet Motorsports is a non-clinical outreach program that honors and empowers injured veterans through active participation in motorsports. The organization embeds qualifying warfighters with professional race teams and puts them behind the wheel in wheel-to-wheel race and amateur events. By placing these veterans in hands-on, high-stress team environments that mimic active duty, the organization gives them direction, empowerment, and challenges that help them focus an ability of moving forward rather than a disability and the past. I've worked with them a lot in the past 2 years, and ranging things at least in autocross, track events, pit crew opportunities, taking that, giving them high octane therapy, as they so put it. Since 2013, the organization has already helped more than 170 injured warfighters participating in motorcycle and auto racing events across the United States. Vet Motorsports provides these incredible experience to our warfighter participants and their caregivers at little to no cost. We depend entirely on donations and corporate sponsorships to cover these costs. Throughout our entire volunteer structure, all our administration costs are low, and over 80 cents of every dollar goes directly to supporting veteran programming. At least with my experience, we do autocross and track event stuff here in SoCal. By the way, shout out to my partner in crime, Thomas Guest. Both of us are active duty Marines who put this on in the SoCal region. We have a blast on here, and everyone has come through our events has had a great time. In 2022, Vet Motorsports will be promoting veteran opportunities nationwide, which are open to the public and held within existing sanctioned racing events. We are always looking to provide opportunities for donors and volunteers to be engaged with the local veteran community and help those seeking inspiration to move forward. All right, things such as fundraising opportunities, sponsorships, opportunities, just as I've mentioned, volunteers, which is what I am, and introduction to motorsports from a veteran, like a very familiar environment. So makes it super easy, and it looks like I gotta get going. So have a good night, guys. I appreciate you. Thank you, Marshall, for everything.
No, thank you so much, Christopher. Thanks for sponsoring tonight, and I noticed you're tonight's pole sitter, so go out there, focus on the racing, and see if you can bring home that first career Bandit Racing League victory for the 15 car.
Okay.
There we go. Thank you to Christopher Hamilton, driver of the number 15, and I'm sorry to spoil qualifying's results here for you guys a little bit, but we have a bit of a plot twist here. It is Christopher Hamilton. I kind of alluded to it there in the pre-show. Could have a pretty good night for himself tonight. Dawson, we got the 15 car on the pole in tonight's sponsored race for him. This could be huge, and that 15 car always seems to know what he's doing in terms of flat out pace, and he does it again tonight. Tonight's Rogue Energy Pole Award winner.
Yeah, he's definitely picked it up here in the last couple weeks. This is his third pole this year. You know, he's racked up three top fives, 10 top tens this year. Looking to add to that number and hopefully get that first win. I know he was super fast at Coda, finishing third there. But it was yeah, it's really cool to see the race sponsor go out there and put her on the pole. I mean, it's just, you know, that's a miracle moment right there. That's really cool.
It really is. That is awesome. And well, with that being said, let's get ready to go for tonight's race. I'm pumped up. I don't know about you guys watching at home, but we have 25 drivers ready to slug it out here for tonight's first win of the Bandit Racing League chase for the championship. We will pull down your tower on the left here and go over your starting grid for tonight's race in the Military Appreciation Night 125 at Darlington. On the pole, it's our man for GFR Racing, Mr. Christopher Hamilton, with a 29.939 second lap. He is the pole sitter alongside his teammate there, regular season champion, driver the number 2, Mr. Nick Nickerson. A powerful front row there ahead of Bret Guzik starting in third in the 04 car. Cody Welch for second place motorsports. He is back again. Weren't sure how much of the season he'd be able to run. He's been back the last couple weeks, and tonight he is starting on the second row. Alec Daffin, playoff driver for the number 48 car. He starts in the 5th spot in tonight's race. Benny Hogan will start 6th, the final driver in the top 6 in the top 3 rows. Brandon Jackson starts alongside Kevin Foster on row number 4. And Eddie Haggy will start 9th for BC Sim Sports, just ahead of Curtis Yancey in the 51 car.
Looks like we got Tony Hildebrands here in 11th. Benjamin Lacy starting 12th. Mark Allen Bivens, the young gun, starting 13th. Actually, Ricky Hart will be starting 13th. Mark Allen Bivens will be starting 14th. Hayden Paul starting 15th. Jackson Knock 16th. Connor Gibson 17th. Jason Greenwell, one of our playoff drivers, starting 18th. Jason Rayum starting 19th. And David Leakey starting in the 20th spot.
To round off our field tonight, playoff driver in the number 29 car, the Joshua McQuiggan entry in the 21st spot. Steve Ulrich starts 22nd. Bill Harkin starts in 23rd. Dawson Guzik's up here in the booth. Will not be starting tonight's race in 24th. So Keegan Clark will round off our field in 25th. That is us. That's the pre-show. We are ready to go. Bandit Racing League playoffs begin now. And it's tonight's race sponsor on behalf of Military Appreciation Night and VetMotorsports.org. Christopher Hamilton leads us to green at Darlington, the lady in black. The drivers will now try to tame her for 125 laps into turn number 1. Already a side-by-side fight between the last 2 champions and the GFR Racing teammates going at it through turn number 2.
He's getting loose. He's getting really loose.
He's been spun around. Contact between the 2 and the 15, the GFR Racing teammates, and immediately the driver of the number 15 goes around just like that right off the bat. Things are shaken up immediately as Christopher Hamilton goes around in turn number 2.
He looked like he got really loose there, and he collected the 04 car, and he collected the 85 car as well, a bunch of others in the back.
Well, it's times like these that we need the Apex Sim Racing replay. Remember to use code BANDIT to save 5% off your purchase, but you're exactly right, Dawson. I called that wrong. Christopher Hamilton just gets a little bit loose there. His first time through turn number 2. Darlington, if you want to know how tough this track is, well, the guy that set the pole lap by over half a tenth of a second is the first to make a mistake there. You can already see him getting a little bit loose here about mid-corner. Here comes his teammate down the inside, takes a peek, actually seemed to back out though. Doesn't have any interest in getting by him. How does Nick Nickerson avoid him? Holy cow, just watching the patience there from the number 2 car. We'll go back and watch this again from the nose of the 2 car here as Nick Nickerson came off of turn number 2. But incredible, Dawson, just the patience by the 15 car's teammate to not get into him there.
Yeah,
wow.
that was pretty wild. This track is known for being super loose those first couple laps on the tires. You know, you really got to take your time, tiptoe around these corners. It's really easy to overstep the throttle boundary at this track and get yourself either into the wall or just it just wants to look like it snaps loose the way that there's like a little hump that comes off of the corner, and when you hit that little hump coming off the corner, it snaps loose, and I think that's probably what happened.
Yeah, I think you're probably exactly right on that one there, Dawson. It's a snap oversteer is such a common problem with these cars on cold tires. It's something that is true of every track, not just a particularly tough one here like Darlington. But we noticed in the background there, not only, as you mentioned, did Bret Guzik get caught in that incident, he is on pit road much sooner tonight than I'm sure he would have liked. Not the way the defending champion wanted to start off his playoff campaign, but he will leave the pits noticeably without taking a quick repair. So is going to suck it up, is going to run some laps with less than ideal car condition. Jason Greenwell will not. He had a massive wreck you saw there in the background on the replay. He will come out with a fresh car, meaning he took a quick repair there to kind of go for a full reset. I don't think it's a bad move whatsoever, but just what that does do is entirely shakes up the race order at the very beginning. So some of your fastest guys tonight, we know based on qualifying pace, like Bret Guzik, like Christopher Hamilton, are going to go to the back and kind of have to do a fresh restart as a result. So that'll make tonight's race interesting. Some really fast guys towards the back of the field, and that always means we get some fun moments here. But we want to take a quick moment here, as tonight is Military Appreciation Night, to shout out some of our Bandit Racing League veterans and people who are involved in the Bandit Racing League community who have served currently or have served in the past. Well, we want to talk first about Peter Murphy, former driver of the number 38 car. We haven't seen him in the Bandit Racing League in a couple of races now, but well, a current Air Force TSGT member, that being Mr. Peter Murphy, driver of the number 38 car. We want to give him his shout out tonight, and thank you for being a longtime member of the Bandit Racing League community. For clarification, that is Peter on the right. I know we don't get to see a lot of these guys in person, face to face, all too often, so just want to clarify, there is Peter Murphy on the right, Bandit Racing League member. Then there's David Lakey, of course, a longtime driver in the series, driver of the number 84. And, well, David is somebody that we highlighted last year as well in our Military Appreciation Night, but a Chief Warrant Officer He has been in the military for 20 years, so 20 active years of service. Thank you so much to David Lacy for everything he's done, for everything you've done for your country, and we are truly glad to honor what is a longtime Bandit Racing League veteran and somebody that we truly appreciate here on the Full Send Racing Network. And somebody who's joined my other series in the past as well, was a longtime driver in the Snowstorm series last season. Now we want to do something a little bit different. Instead of a current active driver in the Bandit Racing League, we want to give a shout out to the father of a longtime driver, Mr. Pompous himself, we call him sarcastically here on the broadcast, Jason Greenwell, and he's rocking a livery tonight in honor of the Seabees, and he's honoring his father who served them in the 1970s. He's a longtime Bandit Racing League fan, and it's great to give him a chance to get his time on the broadcast. So absolutely a shout out to Jason Greenwell's father. These incredibly old photos, but I'm sure he does not look nearly as old in modern day. Wow, it's just incredible to see stuff like this. I love getting a chance to go back and honor stuff like this and get a chance to see those who have served current and present and kind of get the dichotomy there, the duality of that. And there is Hayden Paul, our final driver we want to shout out tonight from the Bandit Racing League, who actively serves or has formerly served in the military. Thank you to Hayden Paul for your service as well. He is in the United States military as we speak presently. With that being said, we are back to green. That's going to be well, I just used the word duality, so let's go duality. The 2 car and the 85 car, 2 longtime rivals going side by side. Our first time green for turn number 1 and 2. Well, at least we hope. It's the 2, the 85, and the 99 car. You see the green bumper indicating playoff driver status, and that status is on the driver, the number 99, Brandon Jackson, who's to come through turn number 3.
You can see in the back there that Kevin Foster hit the wall off of turn 2 as well. It's another one of our GFR guys that was in the back of the pack. I definitely wouldn't want to be in the back of the pack where Bret and a few of the others are at. You said Bret didn't take his his fast repair there. I think he's kind of banking on some of these cautions to get him through the race. I mean, with damage of other drivers hitting the wall and everything, I think it'll kind of even itself out a little bit. So he's probably feeling a little bit timid on taking that fast repair.
We just had another car on the wall there a moment ago. Driver the number 00, Jackson Knock, running a Special Air Force livery tonight. He got into the outside wall there off of turn number 2. Managed to save it though, keeps it on track. Just going to lose a couple spots as a result. But yeah, crazy to say, Dawson, that when Bret Guzik is generally in a spot on the track, it's a pretty good sign if you are also in that same part of the track. But tonight, with Bret's early struggles there in that early incident, not going to be the place to be right now. He currently sits in 12th, but up front, he's starting the playoffs the way he finished the regular season. Nick Nickerson is on rails right now, fastest lap of the race, a 30.13 second lap. I know we're only 8 laps in, but the Phoenix, Arizona native is looking fast.
Yeah, he sure is tonight. I actually got a chance to talk to a bunch of the playoff drivers this week over the Discord, and I put out a little questionnaire there and talked to them a little bit about what they think is going to go on throughout these next couple of races. Nick thinks that he definitely is going to probably win tonight. He said he's got a really good shot. He's got a lot of good feel here. He's got a lot of confidence going in.
Well, when Nick Nickerson calls his shot, that's when you got to look out, because the number 2 car is a guy that often, like similar to this guy, Brandon Jackson, often resents certain tracks that he's not going to do particularly well on a given night, and then goes out and absolutely crushes it. And that's something we've seen from Brandon Jackson as well quite a few times. Driver the number 99 car, off to a good start at the moment, currently sitting in 2nd, got a spot there on Cody Welch, who was also up a position here early. The 85 car, again, has been inconsistent this year in the races he's been able to make, and just due to his, I know, busy work schedule, but regardless, he has done well in his appearances he has made. He's just ahead of Alec Daffin, another one of our playoff drivers. Does not have the playoff banding and the playoff green stripe that you'll see on the other cars, but rest assured the 48 car is very much in the playoffs this season, and so is this guy he's currently in a battle with. Curtis Yancey right behind him, driving the number 51 car off of turn number 2. Is right on the back bumper there. Ricky Hart Jr. accompanying them closely, running a kind of a different gray livery there for the GFR Racing Big Red Propane number 1 entry. So 3 very talented drivers all trying to chase down this battle for 2nd, but again, Nick Nickerson is well clear up front. And throughout the field, we got some fun little battles happening as well. Christopher Hamilton, who has recovered a little bit, well, actually quite nicely from his first wreck there in turn number 1 when he got loose in turn number 2, I should say. Getting a little bit loose again this time, but settles the car back down. But looking quick, that 15 car did not take repairs, it would seem, and he's still able to break away from Connor Gibson and try to go chase down Bret Guzik.
Yeah, I think it was really early to be taking the fast repair. And, if the car wasn't like overly damaged, and wasn't going to hinder them as much as they thought they would. You know, they're just not going to take that fast repair.
Off at turn number 2, it is Brandon Jackson who continues to hold second place over Cody Welch, but the resurgent comeback of the 85 car continues. He has just been getting more and more dialed in lap after lap. Has looked faster and faster as this run has gone on. Now 13 laps in, the Flushing, Michigan native peeking to the outside once again. And of course, we're going to have to talk about Darlington, because tonight's venue, I think, Dawson, we can both agree, is one of NASCAR's premier racetracks. And when it comes to oval racing and stock cars, this track absolutely tests every driver who attempts to run it. It's a tough track to run on your own, let alone racing against 24 of the best drivers on iRacing on the oval discipline. So it's crazy to say that this is the place we're starting our playoffs. It only gets easier from here, but truly, the Lady in Black, the track too tough to tame, whatever you want to call it, it's unique and it is tough, and it's going to give these guys plenty of black stripes on the outside wall.
Yeah, for sure. Talking about Brandon and Cody. Brandon and Cody last year, they ran 1-2 last year. I think Cody ended up ultimately hitting the wall there towards the end. I think Nick ended up finishing second, but Brandon actually ran Cody down from quite a ways back and ended up taking that win last year in the Truck Series. Yeah, this track is definitely super difficult. Getting into turn 1 and 2, you know, it's a way more wide open corner. You can kind of sit there and go about 3/4 throttle throughout the corner, and then you got to lift a little bit on exit to keep your car straight. And then when you go into turn 3 and 4, you know, you've got to get a little bit heavier on the brakes and let that thing just coast into the corner, it feels like. You know, you got to let the car just rotate on its own and just try to stay out of that wall all the best you can. And then you just feather the throttle off exit.
We've got a crazy 4-horse battle going on here between Curtis Yancey, who just flew by the 48 car of Alec Daffin, the 1 car of Ricky Hart Jr., and here comes the 4-time winner this season, Benjamin Lacy. 7 car going to back out of it, doesn't want to make the move on this current occasion, but he came darn close, almost had the opportunity, just decided he was better off waiting a moment, being a little bit more patient, and that's the kind of logic and mindset that is going to lead the 7 car to success this year if he can keep that up. But at the moment, it's just a flat-out case of pace up front. It's a flex, a show of power, really, by Nick Nickerson, now leading by 2.4 seconds, I should say, over the next driver here as this battle continues between the 29 now of Joshua McQuiggan and the 15 car of Christopher Hamilton, both playoff drivers. Joshua is also not sporting the green playoff striping there along the front and rear spoiler, but well, this has just been a great little series of tussles here for Christopher Hamilton, though, as he does let another car by. I think it's just got to be that damage you see on the back end of that car. We'll go to hopefully a rear camera here just so you can see the perspective. Yeah, there is Christopher Hamilton's rear end, and that first incident there in turn number 2 is really set his night back. But once he gets that quick repair, if he gets a caution, which based on what I've heard about practice this week is more of a when than an if sort of deal, it would definitely put him back in the hunt, I gotta think. And we know that pace is there. It's a good sign for Christopher Hamilton fans as Ricky Hart Jr. gets another spot there. Going to dip down the inside of Curtis Yancey into turn number 3, and by goes the 1 car. The 51 going to move back, and now it's going to be side by side Benjamin Lacy and the 48 car of Alec Daffin, both playoff contenders.
Yeah, it seems like the guys are definitely just wanting to sit here and ride and settle in a little bit. You know, I think that got everybody a little bit flustered and wanted to calm down here in the beginning. You know, those guys that have damage, I think they're just riding around, you know, just waiting for that caution, wait until they can get some tires. They'll probably take their fast repair, I would say, if there's no caution when the fuel strategy comes in, when they got to pit.
I'm noticing here that Alec Daffin also has rear end damage. You can even visibly see the 48 car when it goes by. That, again, rear spoiler back bumper has really caved in, sort of arched itself over. So that's not going to be doing anything much for the 48 car in terms of pace. It's going to affect his aerodynamics. And now the 7 car going to take advantage. We're side by side through turn number 3 and 4. Again, the 2 playoff contenders going to battle it out here off the exit. It's going to be the 48 car holding in there. Alec Daffin absolutely playing to perfection the outside line here at Darlington. The more dominant line, it utilizes the outside banking a little bit better, helps push the car around the corner, and that's why you'll see so many guys going right up to the wall, getting that Darlington stripe. It's the fastest way around the racetrack, and it's the best on tires. You know, the the wider you make your corner, the later you make your apex, the better you're going to be as far as both tires and pace here at Darlington. And that is why the 48 car really has to ride the edge, and presumably why he has a little bit of damage there. But again, holds the spot. Now at Daffin, absolutely fighting for everything he's worth to keep that 6th spot for now.
Yeah, I think where you're going to see all the passes made, they're going to be more based off of the runs coming off of the corners and trying to make the passes going down the straightaway. These corners are super tight, and with the car being as loose as it is, it makes it very tough to get underneath. As you see Benjamin Lacy getting into the back of the 48 to do the bump and run a little bit. We'll see how this goes throughout the rest of the night between these two, but I'm sure the 48 with it being this early isn't that happy about that.
Well, yeah, the 7 car getting the elbows out a little bit, kind of uncharacteristic from what we come to expect from Benjamin Lacy, but there we go. That graphic was momentarily for the wrong driver. There is Ricky Hart Jr., the number 1 car, having an incredible night so far, very quietly in the background. Started back in 13th. One quick caution, only gained a couple spots with some drivers having incidents, and has now moved up 10 spots officially into the 3rd position. It was something we kind of talked about last week early on at Chicagoland, or I talked about in the solo broadcast, but early on, it just seemed like the 1 car was the guy to beat. He was flying out there in terms of pace, was pulling away from even his teammate, Nickerson. But later in the race, it became clear the balance of power had shifted. The 2 car figured his stuff out, had some tech issues that he was able to sort out, and after that, it was just all Ricky Hart Jr. It was all Nickerson, and Ricky Hart Jr. just kind of came up short. Was the bridesmaid, not the bride in that situation. Now the pace starting to come out, and he's chasing down Brandon Jackson as that series of cars behind him from about 4th to 8th starts to settle into a bit of a line.
Yeah, Ricky's had a couple good runs here in the last 3 or 4 races. I mean, he's sitting here with like 11.5 average finish, but the last couple weeks that hasn't been the case. He was 2nd at Chicagoland, 3rd at Talladega, 11th at Homestead, which was a little bit of an eyesore for him, I'm sure, but right back at it, 3rd at Charlotte. So, I mean, these races, they're, once he gets more comfortable going throughout the playoffs, I think he's going to start, I think he might click off 1 or 2.
We saw another big attempt just now from Benjamin Lacy to try to make the move on Cody Welch. He's going to try it again. You see that military camo 85 scheme is under attack now by Benjamin Lacy, who now goes up the inside. Will get the pass done this time to filming the wild number 7 car, moving his way through. And now the 48 car of Alec Daffin going to go on offense for the first time in this portion of the race. Is going to try the move down the inside of Cody Welch, who has that outside rear quarter panel damage. Must have got himself in the wall at some point in this stint. Again, it's going to be such a huge thing at balancing the risk-reward of trying to get every second out of your lap and conserve tires, but also trying to, do your very best to avoid the outside wall, not take that serious long-term damage. And, well, it looks like a couple of guys having trouble with that, and the guys that are able to avoid that outside wall are succeeding as the 7 car watches that 51 of a big wiggle there off of turn number 4, but does manage to save it. And we'll continue on. Curtis Yancey continues up there in the 4th spot. I want to very quickly shout out a new sponsor to the GFR Racing crew. New sponsor for Kevin Foster in the A car, Clutch Automotive. We want to thank them for jumping on and supporting one of the very best in the series. Of course, the only two-time Bandit Racing League champion, driver of the number 8, and of course, representative through Perfect Shine Auto Spot, one of our biggest sponsors in the series. Thank you, as always, to Perfect Shine Auto Spot for everything they do for the series. And currently, Kevin Foster up there in 8th, the 8 car in the 8th position. And in the process of going for the 7th spot as Cody Welch continues to fall back.
Yeah, I think Cody ended up getting into the wall there a couple laps ago, and he's just kind of starting to fall back with that damage. Tires are starting to fall off here. We're starting to get to them green flag pit stops. The fuel windows between I think you're gonna see guys pit between 32 and 42 laps. It's going to be a pretty big pit window, but you can go about 42 to 43 laps on fuel. So you're going to see guys start going to come down here. If they're not feeling like their car's handling too well, they might come a little bit earlier, get them fresh sets.
Off of turn number 2, it looks like Curtis Yancey's got a little bit of competition there for not only the number 7 car, but the 48. It's like when it rains, it pours for these guys. When one car goes on the attack and starts to peek underneath a guy, it looks like there's another driver always in the process of going by with them. It's going to be one of those nights, and right now it is Curtis Yancey it got to be mirror driving for his life out of some of these corners with the way the 7 car is making moves on him. And it's crazy how many of our top guys right now tonight started outside of the top 5. You know, Ricky Hart Jr. started in 13th, Jackson in 7th, Yancey in 10th, Lacy in 12th. These guys are really working their way through, and it makes you wonder what guys are doing as far as, again, that risk-reward balance, how much guys are pushing and how much some guys were trying to be conservative on their qualifying laps, because clearly guys that started in the 10 to 20 range have pace tonight, as we see Benjamin Lacy again pushing for all he's worth to get by the 51 car. Really slides it in there through turns 1 and 2. Does the Filming the Wild number 7 car of Benjamin Lacy. Better on the gas, better on the throttle. Actually has to check up to not get into the back of the 51 car. Yeah, here he comes, Alec Daffin. I was going to say, is going to have to capitalize on that check up there from the 7 car, and he does. So back up into 5th where he qualified goes Alec Daffin. And that's what I like to see. You know, you'll make those mistakes. You'll have those races where the pace just isn't there at some point in the run where you're just seemingly going backwards. But it's all about recovering, all about making recovering from that mistake, learning what went wrong, and trying to just work your pace out, get in a zone, and do what you do as a race car driver, and that's just drive. Unfortunately, in the background, as that battle was happening, we did miss a pass from Ricky Hart Jr. on Brandon Jackson for 2nd place, so the GFR Racing 1 and 2 car will take the reverse spots of those 2 spots, but we'll take the top 2 in tonight's race, and I don't think it'll much matter. It didn't look like it was a great battle because the 1 car has just sailed by, now 8/10 clear of Brandon Jackson for 2nd, so he's evened out his pace as well to Nick Nickerson. We'll put up the lap time comparison in the last, 5 laps between Nickerson and Hart. And it's interesting here, Dawson. It looks like it's going to be Hart faster 2 of the last 5 laps and by bigger margins than Nick. So could we be seeing kind of an inverse repeat of what happened last week at Chicagoland?
We could possibly. I mean, like I said earlier, Ricky, he's really been on it lately. I think with the playoffs coming up, you know, something's lit a fire under him a little bit. And I'm sure he really just doesn't like seeing his teammate get up there and win all these races, and then him being a previous champion. You know, that's got to sting a little bit with Nick getting all these wins and him not sitting on any. So, I mean, I'd really like to see him get one here. That'd be really cool. Break that streak and, you know, get a little bit of a confidence booster going into Texas next week.
Well, Texas, a track that we know Ricky Hart Jr. has won at before. Remember back to that famous finish with Cody Welch where he bumped him out of the way there in turn 4 to get the move done and get the win there. I'm noticing the lap times, lap after lap. Look at lap number 35 in the comparison graphic. Nick ran a 32.5, about half a second or more off the pace per lap. And Ricky Hart capitalized, ran in the 31.8s to go 7/10 faster on that lap. And now Ricky Hart Jr. is going to pit, going to be the first driver to do so. You said it was about a 32 to 42 lap pit window there, Dawson, and now we're seeing guys coming in on the front side of that window, including the caution, as Ricky Hart Jr., first guy down pit road, going to try the undercut.
Yeah, for sure. He's going to try to undercut here, see if he can make a little bit of time on Nick. Nick seems to be falling off just a little bit on pace, but I think you're going to see Nick come down here soon.
Looking elsewhere on track, trying to find some other guys coming down pit road. There goes Jackson, not going to make the move. Steve Ulrich already on the pit lane, and there is Jason Rome as well. So a couple big names there are starting to make their way down, and it's kind of a balance we talk about each and every week about, do you come in early, do you try to run more laps earlier on to get track position, get the undercut done, and maybe sacrifice tires later in the stint? Do you try to go right on that perfect lap where you split your tire wear between one stint and another? Ideally the most practical, but you know, in execution can be anything but. Or do you go really long? You sacrifice those lap times for a couple laps, but late in the race you have that resurgence, you have fresher tires than anybody else, and you capitalize when it counts the most. It's just trying to choose a strategy, and that's the most important thing you can do as a driver, is make those decisions confidently and make the one that's going to give you the best strategic advantage late in the race. And guys that are really good at that, like Bret Guzik, starting to get back into the equation. He's currently in 8th. And now Benjamin Lacy trying to fight his way through. But so is Kevin Foster, who's very quietly in the last couple laps worked his way up into 4th now, and now he's going after Curtis Yancey. Could make it effectively once Hart is back on the track. A GFR Racing top 3. Benjamin Lacy down pit road now, driver of the number 7 car.
Yeah, I kind of want to go to something from last week. Was that we all noticed that in the chat that everybody was wondering what happened to Benjamin. So it was kind of my fault. Benjamin ended up getting into the back of me going into the pits. I didn't call out my pit over the chat, and he ended up just driving over me. That was totally my bad. Luckily, the race didn't totally matter for the deciding of the playoffs and everything like that. I don't think he was really that much in contention to win with Nick being so far out, but yeah, it was just unfortunate set of circumstances last week.
Now exiting the pit road here, Mark Allen Bibbins in the 76 car. Another playoff contender is going to leave. There's Ricky Hart Jr. in the 1. He's coming off turn number 4, and he is out of pit road. Now the question is lap times. What can he do compared to the rest of the field to make up some track space? And ran 2 seconds faster than your race leader, Nick Nickerson, last time by, which is why the 2 car presumably is on pit road. So GFR Racing splitting the strategies. Here comes, you could argue, the golden goose of the team, the guy who won 6 races in the regular season this year. It could be well on his way towards winning a 7th. Curtis Yancey also down pit road this time. Cody Welch coming with him. Another GFR Racing guy. Pole sitter tonight. Rogue Energy Pole Award winner Christopher Hamilton coming down. Connor Gibson and David Lakey following him in as well. Again, we thank David Lakey for his service, one of our current Bandit Racing League serving members, 20-year active member of the military. We want to thank him for everything. Again, Military Appreciation Night. Hopefully you guys are liking some of these cool new paint schemes we're seeing. Guys are running some special liveries tonight in honor of the theme, as Brandon Jackson, the guy who was running his usual Codemasters number 99 livery, is coming down pit road, your current race leader, and he'll pit on lap number 43. Well, we once again want to mention tonight's giveaway for those of you who would like to enter to win yourselves a Christopher Hamilton VetMotorsports.org t-shirt. Again, VetMotorsports.org, tonight's race sponsor for Military Appreciation Night. We appreciate everything they do for the series. If you want to win yourself a shirt with that exact design on it and a number of different colors, courtesy of GeezerAuthentics.com, well, we want to thank you for doing so. And if you want to enter, it's in the chat there. Just throw down your name, comment your name in the chat, and that's all you got to do. You will be entered for the VetMotorsports.org Christopher Hamilton t-shirt, and you'll be contacted after the race to receive your purchase completely for free, courtesy of Bandit Racing League and Geezer Authentics. Now it's going to be Nick Nickerson behind Ricky Hart Jr. as Kevin Foster, their teammate, comes down pit road. A huge swing there, but you got to wonder how much of that is due to the tire, difference once Ricky Hart Jr. made that early pit stop, and how much of it is just the undercut, I should say, working its magic.
Yeah, I think with Nick staying out there really long, that really put a hurting in Nick's lead there, and then with that put Ricky Hart just with the undercut, man. That was a heck of a strategy call. I mean, he's going to be 3 seconds ahead, so pretty good undercut there with Nick going in with like over a 2-second lead. So.
Yeah, just to clarify for those of you that may not know what an undercut is in racing, an undercut is when you make an early pit stop compared to the guy you're battling against, where you come into the pits early, you run more laps on a fresh set of tires while they are still on their older tires, you make up time on track in terms of track position, and then by the time the other car comes back out, you are now ahead of them on track, the only trade-off being in terms of tire wear, because now they have fresher tires they took later than yours you took earlier. And we're going to see that a little bit here on this stint, as Nick already starting to track down the driver of the number 1 car, Ricky Hart Jr., for the race lead. But Brandon Jackson's now going to get passed by Cody Welch. You see how the 99 car getting a little bit squirrely there on the inside through 1 and 2. The 85 car says thank you very much, and he's going to use his now freshly quick repaired number 85 to shoot right by and move up into the top 6 now. Bret Guzik in the car ahead of him in the 04 car, and he's working his way back through well, Dawson. He started all the way up in 3rd, went back to the end of the tail end of the field as a result of that first incident in the first caution of the race, and since then has really rebounded nicely back up to 5th.
Yeah, he seems to be doing all right. It looks like he didn't take a fast repair this time either, so it's pretty interesting. I think he's saving that maybe for the end if there's some fireworks. Get that fast repair and have a nicer car than everybody else going into the end. The biggest loser going through the pit cycle there seems to be Brandon Jackson. I mean, he was sitting there running 3rd. He fell all the way back to 7th after this green flag stint. that's kind of a shocker. He's usually pretty aggressive getting onto pit road. I'm not sure exactly what happened.
Yeah, you gotta wonder, Brandon Jackson, usually, as you're saying, one of the best, what I like to call the intangibles, stuff like pit road entries, exits, all things like that make the difference, even if they aren't just flat out race pace. You saw there in the background the pass for the lead, the 2-car back to the point at the front of the field, getting by his teammate there for GFR Racing, the 1-car of Ricky Hart Jr. So clearly those newer tires he took after Ricky's definitely going to come in handy to put him towards the front. But now the battle here, as you mentioned, between Bret Guzik, Cody Welch, and Brandon Jackson. It's so much fun to watch these guys just duke it out, and so many different strategies, different approaches, and different sorts of drivers, and guys in very different spots in the championship. Bret Guzik, definitely a playoff favorite. Doesn't have much to prove as one of the best, but definitely needs to prove himself as the defending Bandit Racing League Season 9 champion. Could become the first ever back-to-back champ with a win in the playoffs this season. Here comes the 85 car getting a good run, and he's starting to break away a little bit, but more importantly, the 99 down the inside. Fellow playoff driver Brandon Jackson does have a win this season, comes in with a couple more points than some other playoff contenders, but 20 points back. He's got to start making up that gap, and getting himself in a top 5 position tonight at Darlington would be a great way to start that campaign.
Yeah, it looks like the 04 car is just kind of riding here. Letting Cody and Brandon go by as Cody gets into the wall there a little bit, scraping up that freshly repaired car. I think they just want to sit here and ride. You know, let the race come to them. As some of the guys just want to go.
Things definitely starting to space out here at Darlington Raceway as we see back to the point again. We mentioned a couple laps ago, he made that pass and he is back at the front. Nickerson now 53 laps down out of 125, and 10 laps time we'll be at halfway's distance. A surprise. I don't mean to jinx it at all, Dawson, but you got to think we were expecting more cautions tonight. We've only seen one to this point. I know a lot of drivers are thinking it was going to be a less clean race than it has been. You got to wonder what that's done to guys' strategies, and you got to wonder also how worried is Nick about the possibility of a caution now? Because if this goes green at the end, it looks like the 2-car is on rails like he was last week.
Yeah, he seems to have really separated himself here, and at this race, I mean, he's got, it looks like it's a 1.8 second lead, yeah, it's pretty wild that this race has gone as long as it has under green. You know, we do some of these practice races, and they're very hit or miss on what the telltale sign of the race is going to be. Guys clean it up for the race, but for the main race, but yeah, they seem to have, you know, cleaned it up from the other nights for sure.
Down pit road here as we go side by side with the Skype. You see the hands moving there on the 1-car of Ricky Hart Jr. as he comes down pit road there. Another really early stop. He wasn't it like something like lap 37, I think he pitted. That's a 19 lap stint there for the 1-car. Really soon, Dawson. I'm just wondering is there any chance you can try to, you know, piece together strategically what you think is going on here? That seems really out of character to me.
I'm looking at his car here on pit road. He just took a fast repair. It looks like he really had a lot of front end damage. I think he might have gotten into the wall or driven into the back of somebody. He's taking 4 fresh feel goods here and took his fast repair. Yeah, I don't think that was planned. That's for sure.
No, I certainly hope not. I mean, strategically, not terrible. Like, he can make it work. He should be able to get to the end on a 3-stop strategy, but just I don't think that was necessarily the way to go, unless again he had that caution or that contact, I should say, as you're suggesting, and maybe it was just coming in for a quick repair to make sure he didn't lose too many laps based on his car condition. That's all I can really think of here. So now going to Christopher Hamilton, again tonight's race sponsor, the Tempe, Arizona native. Again, we thank him for his service as an active military member, and of course tonight's representative on behalf of tonight's race sponsor, vetmotorsports.org. The link to their description as well for their donations is in the description below. So to donate to a really great cause, very near and dear to our hearts, and within the racing landscape, definitely a great way to cross over tonight's representative appreciation night for the military, as well as our racing, you know, background, our community, and the thing we love that brings us together here on these Wednesday nights. So see him live there on Skype there with the VR headset. As always, the googly eyes on it, the classic design for the 15 driver of the number 15 car, I should say. But not a bad night since that early incident. Again, he's currently sitting in 9th, back in the top 10. That's what all playoff drivers should kind of set as a benchmark, I would think, is just top 10 at minimum, and then go for great points from there. But he's doing well for himself tonight since then, working his way back through calmly, patiently, riding that outside wall quite well, and you should be able to hear his throttle quite clearly as he comes off turn number 2. So not too bad there for Christopher Hamilton. That's what we like to see. We like to see comebacks here on the Bandit Racing League, Full Sun Racing Network broadcast, and well, that's not a bad one, I would say, for the driver of the number 15. Continuing to work his way through the field is Benjamin Lacy, currently sitting in 2nd. Kind of a quiet night so far for the driver of the number 7, but pit strategy-wise, he's about the same as most of these guys on track. Actually pitted earlier than most people, so you'd expect the tires to be balancing out somewhat right now. In exchange for his track position, he should be getting slower per lap, and well, Curtis Yancey, driver of the number 51, is chasing him for that 2nd spot. But certainly not a bad night for Benjamin Lacy early on. Could be promising potentially a podium, which, given that he has been probably, I would say, Dawson, the favorite to try to get Nick Nickerson this year and dethrone him as a 2-time champion, get his first in the Bandit Racing League, to get a 2nd, even if Nick wins the race. Not a bad way to start for Benjamin Lacy. Definitely keeps him in the hunt.
Yeah, for sure. He with the playoff reset with the points, he leapfrogged Bret for 2nd. That put Bret back in 3rd. He's sitting on it was 11-point deficit. So I mean, he's really got to minimize that damage, not let that gap grow anymore. I mean, there's not a whole lot of races here in this playoff chase. So every point counts, and the way that Nick is running right now, it's really going to be hard to beat them. Nick's just got it really figured out right now. Benjamin, I would say he's been in a little bit of a slump lately. He was 2nd at Charlotte and 10th at Homestead, then 23rd and 20th at Talladega and Chicagoland. So, I don't think that's been really a representative of the season. He's got 4 wins and 2 poles, but I think he wants to kind of get back on track and gather things back together.
No, I think any driver with that hot of a hot streak is bound to cool off a little bit. So yeah, exactly. I think he's just coming back down to earth a little bit. I think he's just going to have to kind of refocus himself and really harness what it was that was giving him such great success there earlier on in the season, get himself 4 wins, and find a way to channel that into these final 6 races. We saw somewhat of a pass attempt there by Brandon Jackson, mostly just sent it in, got it really close to the back bumper of Curtis Yancey, so almost went for 4th, or almost went for 3rd. Now he's getting passed for 4th. Cody Welch is back in the 85 car, making his presence known, as now he's right on the back bumper of the 51 car. The comeback begins for the 85. Here he comes through turn number 3 and 4. The 85 car again right up to the outside wall, really running those apex as well. It checks up again for Curtis Yancey. We've seen this a couple times tonight. Guys checking up there off of turn number 4. And as a result, losing time and getting passed by a couple drivers. Here comes a guy who looks like he's on the lead lap, but is not. Ricky Hart Jr. sends a 3 wide at Darlington. Off turn number 4, saves the car as he gets loose. No doubt he was going to get loose there, as that was an aggressive send down the inside, but gets the passes done. Just has to keep his hands moving as a result. Cody Welch in the outside wall again. He does make that pass, gets to 3rd, but the damage is back on the rear bumper of that 85 car. And that is now irreparable, as he has already repaired it once in the race with a fast repair. He's not going to be able to do so again in the pits, so whatever damage he takes is permanent at this point, and that's not what you want to hear if you're a Cody Welch fan. But he does have 3rd, and for the time being, Brandon Jackson does not seem to be making that time up all too quick.
Yeah, to mention Curtis Yancey ended up getting to the wall there. That's what I wrote. Kind of started that freight train a little bit on him. Yeah, you can see Ricky Hart was getting back on, trying to get back on the lead lap, with them fresh tires. Hopefully if his cards are played right, maybe he'll get back on track and get back into this thing. I'd like to see this thing tighten up a little bit more than it is right now.
Yeah, very much agreed, as we always want the best racing product here for you guys, and frankly for ourselves here on the Bandit Racing League, and now we're starting to see guys form up a little bit, make things a little bit more exciting. Ricky Hart Jr., fastest car on the track once again that last time by, so those new tires working to perfection. As we've seen Kevin Foster about 6/10ths back of Bret Guzik there for the number 7 spot on track. Again, 2 playoff contenders, defending champion, playoff contender, and the guy who just narrowly missed the playoffs last week, the 8 car of Kevin Foster, the Big Red Propane GFR Racing entry. But he's making up time a little bit by bit. Now 5.5 tenths the gap to Guzik. As in the background, the battle for 10th is growing as we speak. The 29 car currently takes that final, no, he's in 9th, Christopher Hamilton in 10th. So the battle for the final spots in the top 10, made of 2 playoff guys. They're starting to get closer and closer. We can show you the lap time comparison between Joshua McQuiggan in the 29 and Christopher Hamilton, tonight's race sponsor, in the 15, and it looks like it's all McQuiggan these last 5 laps. The guy we haven't talked about a ton in the last few weeks. I think he missed a couple races in the series, but he is back and he's having a good night, I would say, generally speaking. You know, nothing you can complain about with a top 10 in your return back to the series, especially as you got to think of these playoff guys really going to be kicking it in top gear as far as how hard they're pushing. And now Cody Welch gets by Brandon Jackson. He's up into 2nd, and Brandon Jackson hard into the wall, like incredibly so. We see the battle in the background, Daffin and Lacy. That's going to be the focus of our attention, but you saw there in the background, it was just absolutely lambasting the wall that made the 99 car back off a little bit and give himself even more of a Darlington stripe there on the right side of the car.
Yeah, it looks like both him and Cody, as he gets into the wall again. That is huge damage. Curious to see how this is going to go throughout the rest of the race. I don't know if he's taking a quick repair or not. I don't know if he's hit the wall earlier in the race to have gone through that, but definitely some huge hits the last couple laps.
Just a moment ago, we saw it was Alec Daffin getting the pass done on Benjamin Lacy. So the weirdly up and down night continues for the 48 car. He started in 5th. He's now up to 4th, so making forward progress. And just been a crazy night for him as we see Curtis Yancey, another guy who's had a fairly crazy night, currently sitting up there in 6th. And really, that's what I love about the way this race is starting to shape out here, Dawson. As we get to lap number 72, Nick Nickerson is now, let me just get this exact, 12.5 seconds clear of Cody Welch there for 2nd. It's just getting dominant up front for Nick Nickerson. No looking back for the driver of the number 2 car. He wants to start off the playoffs with a win, get number 7 this season, and nobody is going to tell him otherwise, not unless we get a caution, knock on wood. So 73 laps down as he crosses the line this time. It's going to be 52 laps to go. It's a lot of time, but at the same time, if we're going to see this race change in any meaningful way that isn't ending with the number 2 car winning it, it's going to need to happen soon, I would have to think. As the 48 car gets Brandon Jackson, as well as the 99 gets loose off turn number 4.
Yeah, as of right now, I really think that Nick's kind of got this on lock. I think guys are really hoping for cautions towards the end. They're going to start getting antsy, and they're going to make something happen. That's what it's going to take. Nick is a very well-rehearsed driver, and it's going to take a lot to dethrone him tonight. He's just flat out unreal on pace right now.
Just keeping an eye here on Kevin Foster. That gap has stayed about 4 6/10ths, somewhere in that vicinity, from Bret Guzik lap over lap here. So he could be getting involved momentarily in just a second. Here, just keeping an eye on him. In a moment, we're going to do a through the field segment presented by Perfect Shine Auto Spa. As the field has really started to shake out, and we're really starting to see what sort of pace certain guys have relative to each other. But before that, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to go to a quick side-by-side here. Be back in just a couple laps time, and we'll continue straight to the finish for your coverage of the Military Appreciation Night 125, presented by VetMotorsports.org. Again, thank you to VetMotorsports.org for giving a chance for very deserving people, very deserving veterans, to get a chance in some high-quality racing material. And that's what we like to see here. We're all racing fans on the Bandit Racing League coverage here on Full Send Racing Network, and as a result, I think it's a cause we can all get behind. So to donate, go to the link in the description below. We want to thank them and Christopher Hamilton for making tonight's Military Appreciation Night possible. And there goes Bret Guzik, and he is still under attack from the 8 car. We're going to go side by side, and we'll be back here in just a moment. And we are back after a quick break here on the Full Send Racing Network coverage of the Bandit Racing League. And now down pit road comes the number 2 car, your race leader, a guy who had a 14-second lead at the time he pulled down here into pit road. It's been almost a flawless race so far for Nick Nickerson, but we've seen stuff go wrong here in pit road before, so we don't want to jinx him. It's going to be close. He comes down pit road with 41 laps now left until the finish, and we estimated about a 32 to 42 lap fuel stint here at Darlington Raceway. So it's going to be interesting the way this times out here, Dawson. Could be close for him, but so far so good for the 2. He exits the pits with really little issue at all.
Yeah, I think he's going to end up staying on the lead lap here if everything works out. As far as the, with whoever's taking over the lead.
Well, I want to throw it to you, Dawson, as we get to the, well, I would say 2/3 of the way through, sort of getting into the later, kind of the final act of this race. Is there anybody you've seen so far tonight in the playoff hunt that you think maybe kind of flying under the radar, somebody that maybe not just for tonight's race, but somebody you think in the big picture maybe we need to keep an eye on for the championship?
Well, there's 2 that I have my eyes on. Right now, right now you have your big 3. You got Nick, Bret, and Benjamin. I think they're your big 3. The favor being Nick right now. I think Benjamin right now has kind of leapfrogged Bret a little bit as far as that. But then, there's that we always talk about the big 3, and right now there's 2 guys that I have my eye on. That's Ricky Hart Jr. and Alec Daffin. We touched on Ricky earlier. He's kind of getting it back together the last couple of races, and getting a little bit more consistent, getting ready for the playoffs. But Alec Daffin earlier in the season was sitting on like a 4.1 average finish for a good while, and that's relatively insane when you look at the numbers compared to the rest. I mean, Nick at the time was like sitting on a 8 plates average finish, and same with Bret. So, I mean, Alec Daffin, definitely a guy that's on my radar as far as, if he can stay out of trouble and, minimize the mistakes, I think he can definitely be a contender this year.
Yeah, Alec Daffin, definitely a guy that we've talked about before. We've talked to before. Don't forget, the 48 car knows what it's like to win. He won at Auto Club very early on this season, so he knows what it's like to get that top-end pace necessary to get a race win. It's just a question of what does he have over the span of an entire season, and it's a question that I think we've asked before about some other top guys who were very, very good at getting wins. It was just when it came to those important moments where they needed to get good finishes later in the year, when other guys also were going to give it their all to get those good finishes. That's where some guys faltered. We just don't know. Alec Daffin, a rookie to the series. We've seen rookies do very well in the Bandit Racing League, go very far, make the final 8. I don't believe the final 4 of the old playoff format here in the Bandit Racing League. But yeah, Daffin, a guy that just knows what it takes to get those top 5s, those podiums, and as a result, I think he could definitely be an under-the-radar guy to watch out for. And again, if you consider him, as you say, Dawson, there, I think Ricky Hart Jr. would probably be, I'd put him 3rd on my list of drivers if I had to, predict in order for the championship. I'm going to let you guys speculate on who the rest are. You can probably guess number 1 just the way this race and generally the season has gone so far, but I think it is genuinely very close, and just the same way this battle is very close. Brandon Jackson and Benjamin Lacy, this is the battle for 5th right now, and even just a top 5 at this point in the night I think is worth the same as a podium or even a top 2 at most races, because it has been an absolute slugfest tonight. And here comes the 99 car, Brandon Jackson down the inside of the 7 car into turn number 1. A real slide job there, but manages to get it loaded up there in time and will continue his way forward.
Yeah, I'm looking at all the after all the pit stop cycles and everything like that. It looks like Bret has really leapfrogged a lot of these guys on pitch strategy. He's sitting there right in 3rd. Alec Daffin, it looks like he's leapfrogged Brandon and Benjamin there, the guys that he was kind of battling with there. So it's looking pretty good. It looked like Brandon. That was not Brandon Jackson that hit the wall. But yeah, it looks like pit road right now is definitely being a big factor in this race.
And speaking of which, Jason Greenwell, playoff driver in the 83 car, who's really just been on the back burner since that early wreck at the very beginning of the race he was involved in when Christopher Hamilton spun, is still damaged, still doesn't have a quick repair. So doing what he can to keep the pace up there, but really at a certain point I think there's only so much he can do. So doing a good job to maximize his points at the moment. He'll pit for the final time tonight here from 16th, and we'll see where he enters the track once again. But the guy who I think has no doubt about his, I would say generally, ability to go for the race win tonight, and generally the championship as a whole. The number 2 Big Red Propane entry, that sort of silver scheme they're doing on a couple of these GFR racing cars now, is Nick. And I think as we come to, what is it, we're coming towards 30 laps to go, I think tonight is really going to be representative of what might be a problem for a lot of these guys here in the final 5 races of the season to go towards the championship. Is just there are some tracks that Nick is lights out at, that he loves, that is his brand of racing, that once he gets out there, if he gets a clean race, if you don't have a caution-filled event, he's just going to pull away and dominate. And if you get those chaotic races, he's great on strategy, doesn't tend to make a lot of mistakes in that regard, so he's tough to beat there. But if you get a track he doesn't necessarily think he's dominant at, is not going to be a lights-out performance from him, he's still incredible. There's not a bad racetrack for Nick. At worst, he's a top 5 guy, and then he's banking on, the race kind of going his way, some chaos for others, strategy calls going wrong. And I think a lot of guys in the Bandit Racing League just haven't proven, as I mentioned a couple minutes ago, that they can hold up under that strict pressure where they have to go for the win and make no mistakes to do it. And I think Nick is just fairly caution-free. So I don't think there's a lot of issues with Nick Nickerson's approach to the series. I don't think there's many weaknesses to him as a driver. And that's why guys are going to have to capitalize on those races when those mistakes come, if they come. And tonight they have just not. Now 30 laps left at Darlington and the Military Appreciation 125, and it's the 2 car on a mission.
Yeah, I got a chance to talk to a lot of these guys over the week, and Nick, I mean, he feels he can win everywhere. He feels like he could probably win half the races here in this playoffs if everything goes right, But only time will tell. I definitely think tonight he's got it on lock. Going back to like Benjamin Lacy and Bret, I mean, them guys, they've definitely got, I think, a little bit of a gap on the field as far as the other guys that are in contention. But I look at Benjamin Lacy. I mean, this year he has been a strategy master, and definitely strategized himself into a couple of wins there, and really made it happen. And that's one thing Bret also is very good at. But it just doesn't seem like it has gone Bret's way really this season as far as the strategies. I think he's kind of maybe overthunk things a little bit. And as far as the big 3, I think he's kind of the underdog going in.
Well, Ricky Hart Jr.'s night has been weird. I think we can say without a doubt, without any question in the world. But the 51 cars night may be even weirder. It's just these guys that they start to settle into a rhythm. They look really fast. They look like race-winning contenders, and then something goes wrong and they just start to slip back. But it's that recovery that is important. We've seen it with Bret sitting in 3rd that it can be done, and now it's the 1 car trying to work on his, and the 8 car trying to minimize the bleeding of sorts here. As again, Ricky Hart Jr. on the attack. And it's reminding me of flashbacks of last week at Chicagoland, where the 1 car proves himself as a top driver, one of probably the 2 or 3 fastest in the race, and then something just goes wrong that keeps him from that top tier finish he's looking for. I think back in the top 5 is a good start for Ricky Hart Jr., but don't forget, he's a guy that because he doesn't have a win, because he doesn't have any playoff bonus points, he doesn't have any playoff points to his name besides that for his win, so gonna need to find a way to maximize points later here in the playoffs, if not tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, you got Curtis and you got Ricky battling here, and those 2 guys. I think what happened is that they're 2 very aggressive drivers, and they really push the limits of their car, and they really do it early. And I think this track just really doesn't lend itself to that. I think that kind of poses a problem going throughout this race. Once the race is going through, and when you're that aggressive, and this is a track that you have to be super patient at, you just gotta calm the nerves and back it down just a little bit, and you know, it'll kind of work itself out.
Well, as we speak, a battle for 6th and 7th between the 7 and the 8. There's something kind of mathematically poetic about that. It's Kevin Foster versus Ricky Hart Jr. as we cross the 101 lap mark. So less than 25 to go here at Darlington Raceway for tonight's Military Appreciation 125. And Kevin Foster, a guy who I think has surprised to many as he was kicked out of the playoffs last week, kicked out of playoff contention in the regular season finale at Chicagoland. Now on the attack, going after the 4-time race winner this season, looking to make some sort of a late season statement as, again, he looks for that first win of the season. First win since, I believe, season number 8 of the Bandit Racing League, and is making himself known as, again, one of the most consistent top guys in the series. It's just a real shame if it wasn't kind of that, you know, I wouldn't say weak spot, but sort of that downturn he kind of took mid-season as far as point production. I think if it weren't for that, he would absolutely be a playoff, not just a playoff driver, but a real playoff, you know, hopeful, and a guy that had a realistic chance of being one of the series elite this year. As back down pit road comes Ricky Hart Jr. I think this is stop number 5 for him, and this is it's just ripping his race apart, really. It's crazy what's happened to Ricky Hart Jr., but might be one of the first pit road contenders, or first guys down pit road for this final series of pit stops. But weird night for him, especially if nobody else pits here.
Yeah, I think he's just kind of off sequence from earlier. You know, he got that damage early and had to take that fast repair. Yeah, I think this is going to be his final pit stop.
Well, he comes back out in 15th, which I think says something about how spread out the field has now become. A couple drivers just very quietly left tonight's race earlier on. Eddie Haggy, Steve Ulrich, Keegan Clark, and Jackson Knock, we showed in the Apex Sim Racing replay, pulling off the track to the side there and exiting tonight's race. So 20 laps to go. Phoenix, Arizona native Nick Nickerson continues to lead tonight's race. And now Hayden Paul, again, one of our honored current active military members. We're honoring tonight's race. Driving the number 54 car down pit road here, looking to make his final pit stop of the night, currently in 18th, ahead of Bill Harkins and Jackson Knock, who has now just left tonight's event. Now, close acquaintance, good friend, and fellow military member, David Lakey. Again, thank you for your 20 active years of service. David Lakey running that awesome-looking paint scheme there, again, in honor of tonight's Military Appreciation Night. He comes down pit road, too, from the 15th. Well, he was in 13th spot previously, now in 15th, as Connor Gibson may make him 16th in just a moment as he does go by. So, should get out ahead of playoff driver Jason Greenwell, and should re-enter the track in 16th for David Lakey in the 84 car. Here's Nick Nickerson just putting Curtis Yancey a lap down as he, gonna fight him real hard through turn number 1. Almost got into him as Curtis Yancey checks up late to give the 2 car the line. So there you go, blue flag's in effect. The 2 car gonna shoot right by, and yeah, true. This is gonna become a point where Nick passes some really top guys here in the Bandit Racing League and makes a statement to each and every one of them. It's one thing to get beat by a guy as fast as Nick, as dominant as the 2 car. It's another to get lapped by him, and that's where me as a driver, I don't particularly like to get lapped. Well, just want to give you guys a reminder here as we now get to 17 laps to go with 7 cars on the lead lap as we speak. We want to remind you guys of the Christopher Hamilton t-shirt giveaway for the vetmotorsports.org t-shirt featuring Christopher Hamilton, driver of the number 15, and their representative here in the Bandit Racing Week. We want to remind you guys of the giveaway we're doing tonight. So remember, just throw your name down there in the chat and you'll be entered to win in the giveaway. I don't know, do we have any kind of updates on that front, Dawson, or are we just still waiting to make the announcement later tonight?
We can make the announcement now if you want. I think we got everybody that's been willing to comment in the chat. We got 23 viewers here. What is it? But we got a couple people that have mentioned their names, and I got the list right here if we want to go to it.
Perfect, go for it.
It looks like it is going to be Carla Bivens. I think that is I think that is Mark Allen Bivens' mom. So, who is it? Carla Bivens, you are the winner of the Christopher Hamilton T-shirt. Congratulations.
That is perfect. Thank you. Congratulations, Carlo Bivens, a longtime viewer of the series, longtime friend of the channel, and yeah, I believe has won a giveaway before for some Rogue Energy stuff previously. So being a longtime Bandit Racing League fan certainly pays off. We thank you for what I think would be your third military appreciation race you've attended now at this point, being involved, I know, since season number 8, longtime supporter of her son, Mark Allen, who is a longtime top driver here in the Bandit Racing League. So congratulations. We will get in touch with you later on in the week to contact you about your prize and get you your Christopher Hamilton vetmotorsports.org t-shirt. So maybe, I know you got your son. You can't go beyond family, especially not as it pertains to the driver that I'm sure brought you into the series. And well, hopefully you stick around for the racing itself. But it's definitely awesome to get a chance to, maybe give somebody else out there a chance to support Christopher Hamilton, one of the best and brightest in our racing series, and again, one of the younger drivers as well. Don't forget, despite his active service here in the military, and tonight's Military Appreciation Night sponsorship on behalf of a very, very talented, very mature young man. He is also quite young as the series as a whole. So maybe a new Christopher Hamilton fan out there for Carlo Bivens, but congratulations for winning the giveaway, and we will be in touch with you for your prize later on in the week. Well, we are coming to 10 laps to go here pretty darn quick. Now 12 to go here at Darlington. Nick Nickerson continuing to pull away, continuing to put the nails in the coffin on what is going to be a dominant 7th win of the season. Unless we get a caution here late, which again, knock on wood, don't mean to jinx it. I knocked on what is probably not an entirely wooden IKEA desk, so we'll hope that doesn't, hopefully that negates the curse nonetheless. But this is going to be probably the battle to watch here towards the end of the race as far as podium spots go. It's Cody Welch and it's Bret Guzik, the two drivers in the bridesmaid spots after that number 1 spot that has been held by the 2 cars since I can remember at the very start of the race. But here we go, the 85 and the 04 car. Bret Guzik, of course, Dawson, a guy that you know plenty about, and Cody Welch, a guy that has been one of the best in the Bandit Racing League. Every race he's run for a very long time, and that's the question. Cody, not a playoff guy. Bret very obviously won, looking to make it 2 championships in a row in the Bandit Racing League. What do you think Bret's going to be willing to do here, Dawson, to get this 1 extra spot and close the gap to Nick just a little bit?
Knowing Bret, I don't think he's going to do anything too crazy. I mean, he just got in the wall there. He just hit the wall coming off of turn 2. So, I mean, I don't think he's going to do anything to him. But every point matters, so you never know. I mean, he may be a little bit fired up from last week. Getting the bump and run, maybe he'll do it to somebody else. But I don't think he'll do anything. I think he's just going to content to ride and let this race play out the way that it needs to.
Well, just a solid haul of points would not be a bad outcome for tonight's race at all, especially given how, again, difficult this track has been, how many Darlington stripes we've seen on the outside wall. So, the 8 car is going to get, well, kind of blocked for a moment by Mark Allen Bivens, who makes a little bit of contact with the outside wall. The 76 car, though, back on his way is the 99 car. A bit of a bobble. The 8 car going to peek underneath. Kevin Foster trying to make his, I think, going to be his 6th appearance in the top 5 this season. If he can peek underneath into turn number 1, making it close. Back and behind he goes. Going to slide in and just wait here for the moment. So we are now on lap number 118 the next time by with Nick Nickerson. So we're getting there towards the end. And guys are going to be in a mad scramble for any position they can take. Because, again, playoff points are the name of the game here. Heading into next week's race at Texas. You don't want to be behind the 8 ball here at the very beginning. Take every point you can get and reset and try to find a way to beat Nick next week at Texas. I think that's the game plan. And that's the game plan currently for Brandon Jackson as he tries to hold off Kevin Foster, tries to take all the points he can to make what would be a Cinderella run, I would say, for a guy who's been very quick but has struggled for the full season consistency, but is also a fan favorite. People would love a Brandon Jackson title run, if you ask me.
Yeah, for sure. He needs every position that he can get. Brandon came in here tied with Bret going into this first race of the playoffs. Brandon with the 2 wins on the season and the 2 poles, he leapfrogged 5 positions going into the playoffs. So that was a huge number, and that got him right back on track where he needs to be. But yeah, he's gonna fight for everything he's got here, I'm sure.
Yeah, you got to think so, and I'm impressed with what I've seen from him tonight so far. There was actually questions whether he would be able to make the field or not at all for the playoffs, but that was since worked out, and now a no doubt playoff contender is officially in the running. So we don't need to worry about not seeing Brandon Jackson's lovely face there on Skype and seeing that lovely Codemasters number 99 scheme, thanks to our very own Evan Wall Media, who made that for him, as well as all the graphics for our broadcast. The 83 car goes by Connor Gibson, so another spot for Jason Greenwell, trying to salvage every valuable point he can, and currently only behind Mark Allen Bivens on track on the same lap. A fellow playoff driver, and guy in the 76 car, he's had some struggles tonight, we've seen in the background, but still, to be sitting in 13th right now, not too bad. Can't really complain with that. Kevin Foster continuing to attack, and again, the race continues to get closer to conclusion. Now going to be 3 to go in just a moment when Nick Nickerson crosses the stripe for the third to last time. There we go. So this battle is going to be the one to the finish, folks. And the final question is there any chance Nick can catch Benjamin Lacy to not only get his championship rival, put him a lap down, but also make it 6 cars left on the lead lap, the final 2 of which would be these two, as again Foster tries it, but now 3 more chances. And he's got 4 corners to do so. Multiply that by 3, 12 more pass attempts. But no, in the outside wall goes Kevin Foster as he pushes himself to the very limit to try to chase down one of the fastest in the series. He gets himself there on the outside wall for a moment, and now going to have to reset, but still within 2/10s. Doesn't back off at all. He made the mistake, but I guess Brandon just didn't push nearly as hard as he did. Didn't have the pace either. And now going to go on the attack is Kevin Foster. Once again, coming at 2 to go this time, and 1 more lap until the Apex Sim Racing white flag. Further up in the field, this battle's getting close too. It's going to be Welch versus Guzik here in just a moment, but the white flag is out, courtesy of Apex Sim Racing. Remember to use code BANDIT for 5% off your purchase. We'll check in with your race leader here in just a moment. But the 85 and the 04 are going to have one more chance to duke it out. The 85 car not in the playoffs. He just wants a second. But the 04 car of Bret Guzik, he needs every point he can take. We'll check in with him in a moment. Down to the inside goes Bret Guzik. Fully clears him off of turn number 2. He is going to go on the charge. But off of turn number 4. If you want to call this a boxing match. Cody Walsh out of fuel, then won't make the podium, but Nickerson, if you want to call it a boxing match here, this 6-round fight for the championship, he lands a knockout blow here in the very first round. Just absolutely, I don't want to use the word trounce, but what an absolute dominant performance for Nick Nickerson. And coming to the line, will he make it at all? Does get across the line. Cody Welsh, heartbreaking way to end this race. Not a playoff driver, but definitely would have wanted the podium. You got to think, and absolutely lambasted the front of Brandon Jackson's car there. Not out of anger, I'm sure, just typical playing around there for Cody Welch. Heartbreaking to see him run out of field there at the very end, but that meant Bret Guzik got essentially a free spot to cap off what was a really great comeback night for him, and that'll put Alec Daffin on the podium again, kind of our dark horse playoff contender, and the guy who was going to end tonight the best way he possibly can. But it's time, you know what it is. It is time for your victory celebration here. Let's get everything off the screen because it is one man's time. It is Nick Nickerson's. He is your race winner tonight at Darlington. But you know what that means? We're going to get ready. We're going to go straight into your race winners interview here with the man, the myth, the legend, Nick Nickerson here. Let's get him ready in the broadcast booth. Howdy, Nick. It is Marshall up at the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
I got you, man.
Welcome, Nick. You know, we hype it up all season. You know, one of the big talking points of this whole year is, well, the regular season's important. The championship for the regular season is going to be great. But once we get to the points reset, everything changes. Throw the book out the window. We start fresh. And then the race started, and it looked like a carbon copy of not just the season as a whole for the most part, but also last week at Chicagoland. The 2-car just dominates, and it sounds like this is a shot you called. It sounded like Dawson thought you were going to be pretty good here at Darlington, and it looked like that was the case. What is it about this track that worked for you?
So I can't tell you because I've never really had good luck at Darlington. It's just one of those tracks that You know, maybe what was in my favor is I was able to get out in the lead and I didn't have to race anybody. You know, just passing in general, this track is just difficult. So I was able to just sit there and click off the laps, and it wasn't quite it wasn't a 100% clean race for me. I did tap the wall once, and I hope you didn't see me spin going into the pits that one time. But you know, I think I just got lucky where I didn't have to really battle anybody, and I just kind of walked away with it. But I was honestly surprised to see that I had that kind of speed. Like, it didn't seem like there was a time in the entire race where I wasn't faster than, you know, second and third. And at first I was kind of worried. I was like, oh crap, am I burning my tires up too quick? Do they know something I don't? But I just never stopped. And yeah, I don't know what to say, man. Just a superb job for the GFR guys.
Yeah, no doubt about that. That was a pretty cut and dry Nick Nickerson sort of race, and that's the way you want to start the playoffs if you're already the guy with the points lead. We got Dawson up here at the broadcast booth too. He's got a question for you as well.
Yeah, man, what's going on?
Hey man, congratulations. Way to capitalize on that playoff run there. I know we talked over the week about what was going to happen throughout these playoffs and what needed to happen. You definitely made it happen tonight, that's for sure. I know you were trying some things this week. I know you had bought some new pedals. So I was just curious if you ended up running them tonight or not.
Yeah, I did actually. You know, I guess I can say that I like them. I mean, I had no real complaints. They were kind of squeaking a little bit, so I think I need to grease them. It probably didn't come from the factory quite with the right amount of grease, but other than that, man, I mean, I think I did a good job tuning the brake how my old pedals were. And then, you know, once the season is done, then maybe I'll start dangling with the adjustments and kind of see if I can try something that I like more. But for right now, I just want to stick with what I know until the season's over.
Yeah, well, the fact that you were using today as kind of an experimental chance to test out some tech, and it worked about as well as this, that has to be a pretty good confidence builder for you once you're fully in the mindset. I know if I were to try some new equipment, I'd have some part of me that was a little bit worried, but you seem to go off without a hitch there. And 5 races to go, Nick. You know, you're a season 8 champion. You know what it's like here at the end of the season in these clutch races where you really have to step up. Do you genuinely feel like because of how many times you've been in this situation, because of how many times you've been the guy to beat at this late stage of the year, do you feel like those experiences have helped kind of, I don't want to use the word numb, but have helped really just get you in a do the same thing as usual mindset for these races? And do you think that's going to help you compared to some of these guys in the last few races?
Yeah, well, you know, all I can really think about that right now is that, you know, none of these guys want me to be in the front by myself, because this is what's going to happen. But like, I still do get kind of like a little bit of anxiety when I'm like in the middle of the field, you know, behind 3 or 4 guys, because I don't, you know, every time you try to make a pass, you wear your tires out and just a little bit slower. So I don't know, man. I mean, I want to say that like I feel more comfortable, like I've changed a few things this season that I wasn't doing the last season. I won't allude to that until after, you know, we're done here. But and it's definitely made driving a little more comfortable. But yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much all I can say about that. I mean, you know, just I do feel a little more comfortable, man. About it, you know, just don't let me go out in the front or in the lead and all by myself, because I'll just walk away with it.
Yeah, so that's a call to every driver who's going to watch this broadcast back. Make sure that we don't see that again. If we give Nick the opportunities, if we give Often the fastest guy on track, the best track position on track, well, we're going to have results like this. And this is just you capitalizing on everything going the way it had to, and your flat out just ability or flat out speed taking over from there. So Nick, you know what to do. I don't know if this will be the last time we do this with you this season as the first interview of the night, but pretty darn sure you're going to factor into the championship no matter what. So here's your chance. Any friends and family you want to give a shout out to? Anybody you want to mention for Military Appreciation Night? Any sponsors there for GFR Racing and yourself? And just anything you want to talk about. Now's your time.
Yeah, man. So I guess first off, damn, what was I gonna say, man? I'm freaking so worn out. Like 125 laps is a lot of laps.
Yeah.
My back's killing me from the steering wheel. But I had some pretty good runs there. It looks like I thought Cody was in second. It looks like he's in fifth.
Ran out of fuel, actually, yeah, on the last lap.
Oh, ran out of fuel? Yeah, I mean, Christ, I was cutting it close. I think I crossed the line with like 0.4 gallons, so he pitted 1 lap before me. I was saving a little bit there, but first off, you know, this is Military Appreciation Night, so I have to thank all the military personnel and veterans of the United States and, you know, I guess Canada. We work hand in hand, and couldn't do this kind of stuff without them. And, especially those that are in the military within this league, they're our good friends, and they're just awesome guys. And we're glad to do these kind of events for them. So hopefully we're able to sell a couple of shirts for, what is it, the Vet Motorsports?
Yep, vetmotorsports.org.
Yeah, sounds like a really awesome little organization, so I'm glad we can do a little bit for them. Other than that, GFR teammates, man, they're awesome. The way we strategize during these races, definitely couldn't do it without them. Big Red Propane, TechNet, Advanced Auto Parts, Neighbors, Full Services, VIP, Perfect Shine Auto Spa. Let's see, Robert Bowman of Classic Collision, and then I believe we got a new sponsor, which is Clutch Automotive. Glad to be able to kind of share their brands on your broadcast. And everybody that participates in these leagues, man, it's so much fun, especially when you win like this. And you know what, man? I think earlier this year we were talking about like if I can get to win 10, and I was kind of not really optimistic about that, but maybe I can now. I'm at 7. Could I get 3 more? We'll see.
Well, we will see, and it's situations like this where I am so glad that I can't or don't need to bet on this league, because all my money would always go into that possibility, Nick. And the optimistic part of me wants a season where we get 6 different winners to end off the year, make it nice and exciting. But I think the pace you're at, 10 is definitely a possibility, and I feel like a large part of me knew that back when we were at whatever number of wins we were at when we talked about this. So you keep doing what you're doing, and we know everybody's got to meet you at your level at this point, and 10, it's a possibility, but I think right now going to become the second ever Bandit Racing League 2-time champion alongside your teammate has to be the first priority. So start on that campaign next week at Texas, and we'll see if 10 comes to be.
Yeah, man, and guys like Brett and Cody and Ben, they're probably going to put a little extra practice, because I'm sure they don't want to see this kind of thing again.
No. I'm sure of that. So yeah, they'll be back for a fight next week, and hopefully you are too.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be fun, man. So awesome. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Nick. Have a good week, and we'll see you next time. Maybe next week. Always a good chance.
Definitely see you next week, man. Take care.
Yeah. There you go. Always a pleasure to talk to Nick Nickerson, driver of the number 2, tonight's race winner, and the Military Appreciation 125 at Darlington. We now go to a different segment, something a little bit different. We got a guy we got to bring in the broadcast booth. We have an award to announce, and let's bring up our winner of said award, Mr. Curtis Yancey. Hey, Curtis, it is Marshall and Dawson up at the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
I do.
Howdy, Curtis. Well, we got something we got to announce for you. We got something a little bit different. It is not related to tonight's final race result, though. Again, congrats, top 8. Solid haul of points tonight, especially moving up from qualifying. But first, we want to talk about your award. I don't know if you know about this yet. Hopefully it is a surprise, but similar to how Mark Allen did so in season number 9, Curtis Yancey, you are the winner of the Bandit Racing League Most Improved Driver Award. Not just a proverbial award here, but you will also be receiving a physical trophy. We think here at the Bandit Racing League, on behalf of Bill, on behalf of myself, the amount of progress you've made as a driver in every facet for this season. That 51 car has looked more fully well-rounded as far as the flat-out pace we always know you have. You've looked better on the long runs than ever. You've been great on the span of a week to week, racking up the points. That 51 car looks like an absolute tank as far as going for the championship this year. And that is why we want to award you the Most Improved Driver Award, and congratulations congratulations and just for everything you've done. We want to award what has definitely been, I'm sure, a very hard-working, very tough campaign that could very well lead you to success in the next couple weeks. So congratulations.
I appreciate it, man. I guess it makes sense as to why Bill said look out for something in FedEx in the next couple days.
Yeah, that would be it. So
yeah.
Awesome.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
No, you're very welcome. So anticipate that in the next couple days. In the meantime, hopefully you can continue that championship campaign, rack up some good points this week, and bring you some success into Texas.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you. There you go, Curtis Yancey. We just want to take this moment to award him as your Most Improved Driver for season number 10. Always a pleasure to talk to Curtis, and definitely a guy that's similar to Nick. Do not be surprised if you see back up in the regular broadcast booth doing an interview in the next couple weeks. Well, that being said, we'll put up your ticker there up top, because it is now the time where we give you your results for tonight's race in general. So find your favorite driver up top, see where they came away from tonight as far as final position. And in the meantime, we're going to go to your second place interview That being with your finisher, Mr. Bret Guzik. Let's bring him into the broadcast booth, and hopefully Dawson will give you the chance to ask him a question, because it only seems right and seems fitting. But first, Bret Guzik is Marshall and Dawson up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I've got you.
Welcome, Bret. Well, tonight did not start off easy for you. I know that first wreck really put you behind the 8 ball, but great drivers, championship winners, as yourself was last season, they find a way to persevere and overcome, and you did just that. We'll talk about sort of the roller coaster of a night you had, and you got to be feeling some satisfaction, don't you, to work it all the way back to second, get some good points tonight?
No, not necessarily. The first lap, I actually, missed the wreck. I just got ran into the back of by a bunch of other people, and had to go to the back with a bunch of damage and restart 20th, and then we went caution free after that. So basically, was driving around with damage for, I don't know, 80 laps, something like that. So the car was not good for 80 laps. So we had to kind of systematically get up there, and then by the time the car was good, Nick's too far ahead, and I couldn't do anything. So that was kind of the night.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. It really was, could not have been less of your fault there, the way that first lap turned out. Always Darlington, the lady in black, the track too tough to tame. We knew it was going to be hard to deal with there. And generally speaking, everybody seemed to have an issue. I know Darlington's a track we've run before in the series, so was some part of you surprised the way that even the top guys were struggling with it this week, or is that just from your experience what it's like here at Darlington? It's to be expected.
I got done some of the practices earlier in the week, and I knew if we ran that temperature of track that it was going to be relatively hard for people to find the balance midway through the stints and keep it off the wall as if possible. And coming out of 2 was devilishly hard. It was you had to kind of let out of it and thread the needle to kind of shoot the gap between that apron and the wall for the most part, and that was probably the hardest thing that I've fought all night, along with the car just being very evil tight for the beginning of the race with all that damage. Just didn't feel like it had very much downforce for a long time. Then at the end I had to save a bunch of fuel. I pitted the same lap as Cody, and he ran out on the last lap, I think, and I finally realized with 5 laps to go that I forgot that I had pitted the same lap as him, and I knew I had been clutching going into turn 1, and I knew that he wasn't necessarily, so I knew that I was gonna get there before he was, so just had to not run in the back of him.
Well, right you were. You calculated it right, and you get that free pass up into the second spot. So to get runner-up tonight after the way it worked out early, to not get those cautions, I don't think that's a bad outcome whatsoever. And you still got 5 races left to chase down Nick for what would be your second consecutive championship. But to ask the potentially second consecutive champion a question, we got your boy Dawson up here in the broadcast booth. Any questions for Bret?
Yeah, congratulations, Bret. That was a good comeback for sure. I know that was probably a little bit tough there, running with a bunch of damage. It seems like you've fought adversity all week. I know we had some issues as far as the computer going into the race. We had some issues last night with it. You got that all solved, and I'm sure you feel a little bit better, knowing that you got second at least. How's everything going with that?
Yeah, we fought some motherboard issues with the BIOS not loading up, if anybody knows what that is. I just had to take a battery out, pop a battery back in, and it seemed to work for some reason. And so we got it back fired up today, and it seems pretty good. And but throughout the race, we just had to fight adversity. I fought uphill the whole race. I had to pit early to get any track position at all, and even when I was gaining track position, people were lining up in front of me, keeping me from moving forward. So it was kind of uphill the whole run, and just sucks to be probably the fastest car tonight and not come away with a victory.
Yeah, no, agreed, and unfortunately that's the way the Bandit Racing League seems to turn out sometimes. What gives us exciting results some nights, but gives us unfortunate outcomes for some on others. So I don't want you to get too discouraged, Bret. I feel like tonight was really a great show of form for yourself and a great proof, that that 04 car is going to be one to watch tonight. Sometimes it's not just the easy races that indicate a driver's ability, but the ones where they get behind the 8 ball early and find a way to recover and take home points. That's what a champion does. You know that from last year, and I have nothing but the highest hopes in these final 5 races for you. You're good at getting poles and you're good at converting them into wins. So I say keep your head up here. And in the short term tonight, well, to cap off the interview, if you have any friends and family I want to give a shout out to, any sponsors you want to mention, or anything as it pertains to Military Appreciation Night or anything related, now's your time to do so.
Yeah, I'd like to thank the cause for tonight, with the veterans and everybody in the military. Just like to thank you for your service. Just like to thank everybody who puts this on, Marshall, just whoever's in the booth any given night, Dawson. Like to thank Bill for administrating and running this league for such a long time. It's now the 10th season. Hopefully it's not the last, but you know, we've put on a good show for a long time, so thankful for that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Brett. It's again always a pleasure to have you up here in the booth, and yeah, genuinely, I think you just got to keep your head up tonight. See the positives of what was a really great race for you. I know we certainly have at home, so I have really high hopes for you. I know you're going to meet him, and you still got 5 races left, plenty of time, and I know Nick is going to be looking at his rearview mirror or maybe at his front windshield for you next week.
Yep, just gonna have to run the table the last 5 races. Just gotta win all the poles, win all the races, and you know, make our way there.
Sounds like a plan. I'll talk to you next week, Brett.
Yep, thanks.
There you go, Bret Guzik, driver of the number 04, tonight's finisher in the 2nd position, runner-up tonight here at Darlington. With that, we're on your final interview of the night. Mr. Alec Daffin, the Pullman, Washington native. We are going to bring the 48 car in just a moment here. First of all, we have a bit of an update there for what was a very weird night for Ricky Hart Jr. Dawson, you have some extra details for us?
Yeah, he sent me a message here and let me know. It said that on lap 41, I guess, Cody and them were going to pit, and he ended up slamming the brakes in front of him, and he ended up getting into him. He said he started to overheat when he couldn't get up to speed, so that's why he ended up short pitting.
Gotcha. Not the first time we've seen, unfortunately, that particular series of events coming to play with guys just in front of guys checking up on pit road. It's not an easy thing to do, and we've seen plenty of chaos on pit road before. So, unfortunately, that's kind of what kicked off what was kind of a downward spiral for Ricky. Could have absolutely been a podium, if not at least contention for the race win, but unfortunately, we'll have to settle for less tonight. But with that, we're on your final interview of the night. As always, know it's been a long night for you guys, but really appreciate you guys coming to support us tonight on a special night, special cause, special sponsor. Thank you again to vetmotorsports.org. If you like what you've heard tonight, if you want to consider donating, there's a link directly in the description below. That's where you want to go, and it'll support our great sponsor and in turn support the Bandit Racing League. So thank you for everybody who has donated, who's considered it. Really check it out. It's a great cause. And if you want more information about it, when this race goes live and this broadcast goes to replay on YouTube, go check out the beginning of it or check it out now and see the description there from Christopher Hamilton. He had some words pre-race, and you'll find out a little bit more about your awesome sponsor. With that, it's time for your final interview. 3rd place finisher tonight. He started in the 5th position. It is Alec Daffin. You got us up in the broadcast booth?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Welcome, Alec. Well, tonight finished off on a pretty good note for you there. It was a roller coaster up and down for everybody in the top 10, all those championship contenders. But with Cody Welch running out of fuel there on the last lap, you jump up into 3rd, and you cap off a night that I think you have to be pretty happy about starting off your first ever Bandit Racing League playoff, would you say?
I mean, it's a good finish for sure. Definitely not my best work. I just made way too many mistakes tonight. I mean, I wasn't going to beat Nick regardless. I mean, he had 1,000 extra horsepower and all of us basically, so we were all racing for 2nd there. Probably should have finished 2nd if I didn't knock the wall down a million times or was driving better after pit stops. But I mean, all in all, still got podium out of it. Had a little bit of luck there, but we'll take it. And Cody still finished 5th on run out field, so didn't hurt him too bad, I guess.
Yeah, whenever you come across on the podium and there's some ways in which the race works for you and ways in which you don't, you're always somebody who seems very quick to you have very high standards for yourself. You point out where things could have gone better rather than getting too caught up in the stuff that went well. So we were talking about you throughout the race, trying to figure out, okay, where does the 48 car factor into this battle for the championship? Dawson called you kind of his dark horse pick for a guy that we think could really go for the championship that maybe we haven't talked about enough, despite your race win at Auto Club. So how do you think that 48 car, how do you think you fit into the series, and what is your expectation for yourself in these playoffs? Because it sounds like a 3rd, in the way it worked out, isn't quite there for it.
Well, I think he's there. I mean, I think Dark Horse is that's definitely kind of the way to go. I just like Nick and Benjamin, just off of skill, they're definitely heavy favorites. But I mean, I've been pretty consistent this season. I think it's safe to say. I mean, I think my worst finish was 13th. So I mean, if I just run top 5 every week and get a little bit of help, I think I can definitely have a shot at it. But I'm gonna have to be on it. Like I can't have any bad races. Guys like Nick, especially with the playoff ones he has, he can have bad races too and still win the championship. But if I'm on it, I think I can have a shot.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think it's just minimizing mistakes and acknowledging that even if Nick's got a bit of an advantage, the way that things are working out right now, you can always fight him back. And we got Dawson up here in the broadcast booth again this week as well. So any questions for Alec, Dawson?
Yeah, man, congratulations on third. I know we talked a little bit this week about your consistency. How did your race play out there? It looked like everybody seemed to be getting in the wall, running the wall down there, and just what did you end up having to do? I mean, you're sitting on a 5.5 average finish. We talked it was probably like a 4.1 earlier in the season, so that's pretty nuts. How did you end up having to rebound there? You said I guess maybe got in the wall at some point.
Well, it all started lap 1. Christopher, I guess he got loose on cold tires, and a couple of us got caught up. I'm not calling him out, just standard fact. But yeah, that definitely gave me some damage there, and didn't really help me a lot. So I took my fast repair on the first stop, and then I got onto the wall a couple seconds after that. And I had about 30 seconds of optional repairs after the last pit stop, and hit the wall a couple times after that. So it definitely slowed me down a lot. And also, yeah, I just come out of the pits. I already mentioned I was just making some mistakes there, unfortunately. So wasn't driving well. Lost myself some time. In terms of strategy, I feel like I was in the best position because I pit the latest of anybody. I tried to run the tank dry, both the green flag stops, and then I didn't have to save my fuel at all. In fact, I was probably a lap to the good. And then I didn't run those guys down at the end there as much as I wanted to, but I mean, if all of us were a little bit shorter on fuel, 1 lap shorter, I probably could have made it. Some of them ran out, so could have worked out a little better, but it still worked out just fine, I guess.
Yeah, again, I don't think there's any complaints whatsoever about the way this night ended for you. You started off on a high note. Same with Bret. Both you and him seem like you definitely wish you were up there with the 2 car. You wish you could have competed a little bit more, but that's what the next 5 races are for. And I feel like, despite being a rookie in the series, I feel like you know that as well as the veterans do. The way you approach this race, you're very mature. You know what you're doing. And we're going to be excited to see what you do the rest of the year, especially now that Dawson's officially picked you out as his dark horse. Got to stick to that. So you know what to do. You've been here on the broadcast booth before, including as the race winner. So if you have any friends and family you want to shout out watching at home, any sponsors you want to mention, or anything specific as far as military appreciation that you want to mention, or anything else, now's your time to do so.
Well, first off, thanks for picking me as a dark horse. Appreciate that. And yeah, I was gonna do a military fan scheme. I kind of didn't have the time to put one together with work and all that. But yeah, I mean, thank you, Bill and Christopher, for putting that all together. That was pretty cool they did that. Also, thanks to Bill for running the league. Thank you guys for doing the broadcast. My Twitch viewers at 4Lex Bowman, 4LEXBOWM810. Sorry, my audio wasn't working tonight. I forgot the Windows update, messed up my broadcast service or whatever, but oh well. But yeah, I think that's it.
Sounds good. Well, Alec, it's always a pleasure. We wish you the very best of luck going forward this season. And yeah, your Twitch stream, we're always happy to show it guys Twitch. So go check them out if you want a different perspective on the race and you want to get behind the personality of some of these guys. That's always a good way to do so. And Alec, I think we all deserve to know more about you, and you deserve to have yourself spotlighted. Because again, another great performance. That stat about 13th is crazy. I didn't know that was your first finish of the year, but does not surprise me in the slightest. So do what you're doing, keep going, and just try to find yourself in victory lane to take down that 2-car peg, because that's what it'll need to be to get that championship for you.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you. And with that, that'll round off your interviews. We're going to head into the final kind of stanza of this broadcast. I'll give one more mention to tonight's awesome sponsor, tonight's awesome cause. First of all, I want to thank the series partners here on the Full Send Racing Network broadcast. First of all, iRacing, the sim that allows us to put this all on. Go to iRacing.com to find more out about it and potentially join the sim yourself. Geezer Authentics, the source for all of our merch. We're having some couple hiccups there in the background and the back end with the merch site, so just give it some time, but maybe check it out tomorrow. And going forward, the link is down there on the YouTube link as always. So Geezer Authentics is our merch brand here for the Bandit Racing League. That's where you get yourself some stuff like the Christopher Hamilton and VetMotorsports.org t-shirt, but also plenty of other stuff generally for the series as a whole or for particular drivers like the GFR Racing guys like Eddie Hagee, Mark Allen Bivens, etc. Apex Sim Racing is your place to go for all of your actual sim racing accessories, stuff like button boxes, wheelbases, pedals, everything you need to start yourself as an actual driver and get into sim racing yourself, not just on iRacing, but a variety of other sims as well. That's your place to go. Use code BANDIT at checkout for 5% off your purchase. That's BANDIT for 5% off at apexsimracing.com. Perfect Shine Auto Spa as well, longtime sponsor of our series. We thank them for everything they do and for sponsoring a variety of aspects of the broadcast. Thank you to Perfect Shine Auto Spa and Kevin Foster for sponsoring. Track Cams are Gourmets. They are our track cam provider for our custom cameras, such as the panning cams you see in the background right now. They are awesome. They are kind of a sponsor I joined on with the last minute before the season started, but I'm so glad that I did. I hope they've really enhanced this year visually for you guys, and hopefully you guys have been enjoying the product as a result. Thank you to Track Cams for Gourmets for everything they've done for the series this year. And finally, evanwallmedia.com is your place to go for all things graphically. He does plenty of work for cars, makes custom numbers and paint schemes, but he also has a lot of fun personal projects going on of his own. If you want to check those out, go to evanwallmedia.com. And of course, he provides us all the graphics for our broadcast, so we want to thank him on behalf of the Full Send Racing Network. And it's been a busy night for ourselves, but one more time, I want to finally get a chance here to thank you, Dawson. Mr. Dawson Guzik, tonight's co-commentator extraordinaire alongside me in the booth here. It's always a pleasure to have you joining me, and tonight I feel like started off our playoffs in about as exciting of a way as we could have hoped for.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for having me. You know, it was definitely a good night of racing. Definitely some interesting topics going into next week. Don't think I'll be in the broadcast booth next week. I think I'm going to end up racing at Texas, but I think I'll be joining you for possibly Martinsville. So that'll probably be my next time in the broadcast booth.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, very best of luck there in the car next week at Texas. That should be a fun race. Should be a pretty even keel sort of track. So we have the schedule here for you guys. We're going to show you one more time before we head off the air. That way you guys can see what the rest of the month going into September looks like here for the Bandit Racing League. There you see the 6 races for the Geezer Authentics Xfinity Series race for the championship in Season 10. First round goes to Nickerson there here at Darlington, but next week on the 24th, it's Texas for the second round of the playoffs, followed by Martinsville there to cap off August. That should be a crazy race. Look forward to some short track excitement there at Martinsville. Kentucky there is our third to last round of the season on September the 7th. September 14th is Richmond, and then your finale at Phoenix on the 21st. And that's the end to the Bandit Racing League Season 10 calendar. One more time, we want to thank our sponsor for tonight. That is vetmotorsports.org, a great cause, really fun charity, and they do such great work in giving people, it's just something amazing to keep them going. Racing is truly such a powerful force, I would say, that is something that can really turn things around, could really shape somebody's life, and is very well deserved. Such an awesome cause, so great for those of you that have supported. If you have through tonight, again, the link is in the description down below this video. But we thank you all. Thank you for donating if you have, and definitely consider it. But just any support you can give to any charity that supports veterans, either American, Canadian, anywhere, supports the people that have kept our countries respectively safe and will continue to do so in the future. We appreciate everything they do, and that's why tonight is Military Appreciation Night. On behalf of myself and the entire team here at Full Send Racing Network, thank you to Dawson Guzik for co-commentating alongside me tonight. With that, we are about ready to head off. So, well, for myself and everybody else here at the Bandit Racing League, thank you for watching tonight. We will see you all next Wednesday. We hope you have a great rest of your week. It's been chaotic here. It's been a hot summer up here in Canada. I know it probably has in America even worse. So stay cool. Enjoy the rest of your summer. Get ready to go back to school in a couple weeks. And we will see you all next Wednesday for the 18th round of the Bandit Racing League's 10th season and the Geezer Authentics Xfinity Series. See you all soon, everybody.